So the first question you want to ask is, who are your people in your story? We want to know. So the first P is people. We want to know as an audience, who are the people in your story? We get connected to the characters in your story. And when you go online, look up any of the speakers that you like the most. Go to their favorite stories, and I guarantee you there'll be some type of person in there that was either a mentor or some person in their story that you can almost visualize, because that when you can see the story, you'll feel the story more. So who are the people in your story is the first P to ask yourself. Number two is, what is the problem that your story is addressing? So without a problem, without a conflict, there is no story. Donald Miller says it in his book, if there's no problem, if there's no conflict, there's no story. So you want to know what the problem is that you're facing. And the thing is, we all face problems in our own lives, but think about how the problem that you're facing can possibly be transformed into a universal problem, right? So think about what it is that you're dealing with and ask yourself, is this a grander problem that people can have? For example, I tell a story that, like I just mentioned, about my mother when she gave me a gift, and it was wrapped. It's basically, she gave me a Game Boy, but it was wrapped in a medical kit box. She played this bad trick on me. And at first I opened it up, and of course I'm disappointed because the medical kit is what I opened first, but I keep unwrapping, and then the Game Boy was inside. Not a lot of people can relate to being vindictively tricked by their parents like that at Christmas time. Some can, but what more people can relate to is the fact that sometimes life hands you things that you don't want to deal with, adversities, struggles. And then when you keep looking, when you keep digging, when you keep unwrapping, sometimes you can find and appreciate that there was a gift that you didn't see right off the bat, right? So that is a problem that was my problem that I turned into a universal problem.
Yeah.
So what's the problem in your story? The third P is, what is your prize? So what is the resolution to your problem, right? So you think, what solved the problem? And it normally comes from a person or a page in a book or something that you found that helped you to solve the problem. And you want to make sure, though, that you do give the problem enough weight. You do make sure that the audience, as you're telling your story, feels the weight of that problem. And a lot of times you can do that through, the thoughts that you were thinking, or a certain amount of time has passed before you found that prize, that thing that started to change things for you. And that's number three. Number four is, what is the payoff? And this is the one a lot of speakers miss, because you'll hear speakers say, you know what, I went through this struggle. I struggled for years. And then, you know what, I found this book and I'm good now. Or they just go right to the end of their speech. But we want to know how your life is better. What has changed for you, whether it's financial, emotional, spiritual, whatever those things are for you. And for most of the people, it's either mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual, right? So what is the payoff in your life? And finally, what's the plan for your audience, right? So this is your to-do. What do you want your audience to do? What's the plan they can take out of this so that they can use it in their own lives? You always want to take your story and make it their story. So can you take what you've gone through and turn it into an applicable plan or lesson for your audience? And if you can put the plan into something catchy, like a phrase that's rhythmic that they can remember, then they're going to at least take that piece of your speech and remember that part of it, right? So one of my coaches, he's a Toastmaster world champion of public speaking, Craig Valentine. He's who I've learned basically most of my speaking skills from. I credit him for a lot of things. And one of his plans was, during his speech, he told his audience that the things that you've done till now aren't going to help you to advance in life. That was his plan, but what he did was he put it in a rhythmic phrase so that people would remember. He said, what got you here won't get you there.
Oof. Yeah.
Okay. So he turned the lesson, the plan, into a rhythmic phrase that people could remember.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when you're doing your story, when you're thinking what you want your audience to do, think of how you can make it catchy so that
Yeah.
they can remember.